Okay, are you over or under 40?
I'm over the age of 40. I'm 42.
Okay, so and the reason we need to know that is EEOC keeps track of all claims that are filed by persons over 40 for statistical purposes. That's all I needed to know on that. Okay, let's take a look. Something else here. Okay, and what is your date of harm? What was the triggering event that led you to filing this complaint? I just need to know the date that happened.
It was in May 15th or thereabouts of 2024.
Okay, now part of the regulations for filing EEO complaints is we have to have something that happened within the last 45 days of the filing of the complaint, or we need to know why it took so long to file the complaint. So May 15th of 2024, almost a year ago. So what took you so long to file this complaint?
Yeah, after the event, and then in April, my last paycheck was in May of 2024, and then I went on medical leave, and I've been having medical problems since then. But I have made the complaint now, unfortunately, delayed as a result of a medical leave of absence.
Okay. Okay. Part of what you sent us was the letter that you sent to the union about this. Now, did you file a grievance with the union?
I've sent them emails, and I have a scheduled phone call with the union lawyer.
You signed a grievance number?
No, no. In the letter, I have in there that it's March 24, not May 24. And I think it was in, I'd have to look at my calendar. I can't remember if it was March or, oh, I'm sorry, it is March, actually. It is March.
Okay. All right. Okay. You said you have a meeting with the with the union lawyer, and when is that going to take place?
I don't have a scheduled date with her. I need to email her back and confirm a time with her.
So, did anyone from the union suggest that you file an EEO complaint on this? Also?
No, I took this upon my own, will.
Okay, because if you got the union working on it, then they take precedence, and we have to back out of this.
No, they're not working on it as far as I know.
So you're meeting with the lawyer
I don't know. I'm just keeping her abreast of my communication. That's all. And she wants to schedule time to speak with me, so I can forward you her last email if you'd
Okay.
like.
Yeah, actually, yeah, yeah. Go ahead and send me that. Let me get it here. Okay, why do you think all these things happen to you in particular, based on what the information that you sent in that letter? Uh,
Well, I
what
would
do you think
say
about that?
I would say that it was because I originally filed a sexual harassment claim against Robbie Cox in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and that caused a serious work and personal relationship rift between myself and Adam Biro. Um, and during a union call with the union president, he, exploded on me on the phone and started screaming at me, and they had to end the call. So, ever since we had that major conflict on the phone with regards to an original sexual harassment claim, which he investigated and which he said that there was no workplace sexual harassment, that created a serious problem between the two of us. I was transferred to another section. Um, I've worked under multiple managers, multiple sections, and so during the lunch with Tamika, who was also my manager, and then who decided to retaliate against me originally, which I filed a grievance claim of retaliation with the union. The During our last workplace lunch meeting, when she called me a whore, that was another further example of harassment and sexual harassment. Just the just basically the demeaning and cruel communication in which she conducts herself. She's no lady, and this is me essentially writing a letter as a gentleman to say that that type of workplace harassment is just it's in my opinion it's illegal, and she's incompetent. But the point is, this is happening now, and why I'm being targeted is because it's retaliation by management, Adam Biro and Tamika Clark, as well as other coworkers that I work with that are continually harassed, written up for the most insane reasons. It's literally like working in a sanitarium or in a comedy club with a bunch of incompetent people who are just incredibly ungrateful for their position. So this is why I believe that I'm being targeted by Tamika Clark and Adam Barrow.
Okay, did you file a complaint also with the anti-harassment program?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm going to send you, in addition to what you and I are doing, I'm also going to send you information on how to file with them, because this is something that they need to know and look into also. So I put together a little sheet that gives you the steps on how to do that. So, okay, let's go back to you said you filed a sexual harassment complaint against Robbie Cox. Robbie Cox is a manager, a co-worker, a
No,
peer.
she was a coworker.
Okay, your phone was so muffled, I didn't catch that. Could you repeat that, please?
She was a coworker.
And what would be the result of you filing that complaint against the co-worker? Anything come of it?
Yeah, I was sent an email from Adam Barrow dissolving himself of her of any wrongdoing. And during the call with the union, the reason why Adam got so explosive on the phone is I said, I'm going to put you in the complaint too, because that's what upset him on the phone. But the truth is, he fosters a toxic work environment.
And that was when Adam said if he sees you at work, he's going to punch you in the throat?
No, apparently that was a couple months ago that he said if I show back up to work, he's going to punch me in the throat.
Now, did you hear that directly from him, or was that?
No, telephone game. It came from Anthony Prudent, which came from Crystal Johnson, who was at the meeting.
Okay, so that's, and we're not in a court of law. There's none of that here, but again, technically that's considered hearsay. But since it's in the document let's step away from your story for a minute and look at one of the forms that I sent you. It's the, you can pull it up. It's the Notice of Rights and Responsibilities. Just let me know when you have that one open. Hey, John, you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm trying to refresh and I can't seem to find the email.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, let me know when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't see anything coming through on my Gmail.
Okay. Oh, hang on. Let me see. I have to reset the 15. Give me just a second here. Yeah, I sent all these docs to you April 2nd. So let me just go ahead and send it to you again.
Yeah, actually, I see the April 2nd email.
Okay. So yeah, there's the forms.
Okay. Okay. Which one did you want me to look at? The with.
Notice of rights and responsibilities.
Okay. I got it.
Okay, so I'm just going to read this first paragraph once you scroll past the Privacy Act statement, and then we'll talk about a couple things right after that. The use of the EEO complaint process is voluntary. However, pre-complaint EEO counseling is a mandatory requirement for filing a formal EEO discrimination complaint under the EEOC regulations. The regulations also require that individuals seeking EEO counseling be advised in writing of their rights and responsibilities. This notice of rights and responsibilities is provided in compliance with the regulations. If you do not pursue EEO counseling after the initial inquiry, no further action will be taken with respect to the matters discussed. If you do receive further EEO counseling or pursue an alternative dispute resolution procedure and the matter is not resolved, you will be given a notice of the right to file a formal discrimination complaint form as explained below. Okay, the two areas that we covered right after that, the first one is anonymity. So you have the right to be anonymous through this process, but if you decide to be anonymous, that's going to prevent me from trying to get you a remedy that is specific to you. Because I wouldn't be able to mention your name to the director or speak to management or anything like that. Do you want to be anonymous throughout this process or not be anonymous?
No, I have no problem being not anonymous.
Okay, so then you'll just check the box that says, I do not wish to remain anonymous. And also, let's talk about representation. Now, you have the right to be accompanied by a rep of your own choosing. This can't be me since I'm the counselor. Now keep in mind, no one can tell your story better than you, but you could still have, a lawyer. Some people go as far as hiring a lawyer. Some people have a family member or a close friend that knows the situation, be by their side throughout this process. You don't have to decide now if you want to rep, but again, that's something you have to track down and ask. Excuse me. So, what's your thought on that?
Do you see where it says right to a court appointed attorney? No, I know. I'm just pointing it out, meaning that if I need representation, I mean, it's 3 points above my signature. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, so let's read that. If you would like to file a civil action, meaning a lawsuit, then you can request an attorney. But again, like I was saying, we're steps away from that. You got to go the formal processes, which is where we are now. If the informal process doesn't work for you, then you can go to the formal process, meaning you file the complaint would go to Treasury, to the Office of Civil Rights and EEO. Your case could go before an administrative judge. If you don't like the option that the judge has given you or the decision that the judge makes, if it's not in your favor, then at that point you could sue. And then that's when you really get that you have that right to get appointed for an attorney. Like I said, we're steps away from that.
I know. I'm just saying that I'm pointing it out because it had to do with the question about appointing representation.
Yeah, but again, it's so far down on the sheet that it's not one that the question, it was a great question. We could discuss it.
It's not a question. I'm pointing it out, Leroy.
We can make at this point in time.
Okay, so how can I answer? What can I answer again for you?
Well, if you say you don't want to be anonymous, and as far as you getting a rep, you want a representative with you throughout the formal process. If you did, that's somebody you'd have to choose and ask them to be your representative. And like I was saying, some people go as far as hiring an attorney, or choosing a family friend or a family member or a close friend.
Got it. Well, I'll email it the form after I sign it. I can send it to you. I can send it to Ann, the NTEU lawyer, and forward you also that email with our next appointment.
Okay, but if she's gonna be your lawyer, then that's something we would need to talk about. So once you have you can send it to her, and then once you have your conversation with her, and if you need to talk to me, I can do that. But the union process and the EEO process are two separate things. But if she does choose to be your attorney throughout this process, then that's something that we can approach at that point in time. Okay, so the next thing I need to know is what you want out of this. What's your remedy? What is going to make you whole?
Well, I just want due process, and some type of remuneration with regards to the damages that I've suffered.
Okay, so let's talk about remuneration. How much money are you talking?
A back pay for the time since the claim of sexual harassment took place in March.
At your current grade, or the grade, were you the same? Were you a GS11 during this whole period?
Yes, 11.
Okay, all right. So basically, you're talking a year's worth of back pay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. One of the things I do have to tell you is at the formal level, compensation, especially the amount that you're speaking of, is not granted, you have to go formal to get what you're asking for. So the best way to work that situation, I mean, what you're asking for is not unreasonable. It's, but it's just not granted at this level. So the best way to work this is for me to do all the work that I can do, that I'll do for you, and then issue you the notice of right to file, so you can file a formal complaint with Treasury, and that's where financial remuneration can be looked at and possibly granted to you instead of going to mediation. Because the mediation at this level, I mean, if you were looking for something like, reasonable accommodation or, something, that management or the director of your management group could grant, that's easier to deal with at the informal level. But when it comes to financial compensation, going to Treasury is your best move. So, take a look and see how much time we've got left on your initial 30 days with your complaint. That determines a lot for me as far as doing my work for you. So give me just a second here. Well, actually, I think we're good because since you and I were, we weren't able to talk right away. You filed that. I had you do the traditional extension, so we've got time. So, because I'm probably going to need 10 days to 2 weeks to speak to management and get everything written up, get my report done, and then I can issue you the notice of right to file, so we can get you over to Treasury to get that underway. Does that work for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. There's still a form I need you to take a look at. It's called the ADR election fund. And so if you can pull that up, let me know when you have that.
Okay, I got it up.
Okay, so in this particular form, since right now we are basically in this traditional extension process, we're going to you'll check the box that says, I do not want mediation and wish to continue EEO counseling, and then sign this form, send it back to me. You'll sign below because I signed where it says counselor. So I can tell you what I'm going to do in this particular case. I kind of went over it a little bit. I'll speak to the director of your management chain. I also need to speak to Adam Bureau and get his statement. And also that other person that you mentioned, Tamika Clark. Once I have all of their statements, I will send my report over to, when I wrap up my report, I will send it over to my territory manager for review. And then once she reviews it, signs off on it, then I can close my report, and then I'll issue you the notice of right to file, and also the Treasury individual complaint form. And you'll have 15 days, 15 calendar days once you receive that from me to get your complaint filed. And the email I'll send you with that is pretty detailed, and it also gives you the portal to load up to upload the notice of right to file and the Treasury individual complaint form. Just send those two documents. Don't send anything else until they've reviewed your case, decided whether or not they're going to accept it. And they're usually really good about accepting what we send in. But, now that we're in this new era, and the goalposts being moved constantly, we don't know, from one day to the next, but just, we'll just trust the process right now. And what will happen is, they decide to accept your case, you'll earlier, your case could go before an administrative judge, and the judge will determine based on my report and the investigator's report and the documentation that you'll send when they ask you to send it. The judge will make their decision, and again, if you don't like their decision at that point, then you can take it to the next step and file a lawsuit. But let's see how this process works for you, and go from there.
Okay, sounds good. I'll send you back this signed form.
Okay, and again, I'm glad we finally got a chance to talk, and I'll be in touch. The majority of my contact with you will be through email, but as we get closer to we might be wrapping up your case, I will contact you by phone, and I can discuss what I've learned and get you over to training. Oh, also, let me ask you this. There's one thing I can look it up, but on GS scales, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take your hourly pay and the amount of hours. So you're full time, so you're 40 hours a week. We'll just go that way. 40 hours a week for the whole year times the amount of money you make, the amount you get paid per hour, and that would be the amount that I'll put in my report for what you're looking for.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks, John. And again, I'm glad we got a chance to talk finally. And take care and enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll be in touch.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Likewise. Have a great day.
Okay, bye now.
Take care.